I promised you this video a long time ago, and ever since you've been asking me, when is it coming up, Fleur? Finally, it's here. How can we lower your estrogen? Hello lovelies, and welcome to another one of my videos in which we're finally talking about how you can start lowering your estrogen if you are struggling with estrogen dominance. A while back, I shot a video about whether you could be having estrogen dominance. So if you're not sure about that, make sure to head on over to that video. And it's in that video that I promised a follow-up, but you know, life got crazy. But here is evidence to the fact that I haven't forgotten about you and I haven't forgotten about my promises. So any other video I've ever promised, it's coming. We just don't know when. But today I'm fulfilling this promise, and we're talking about how you can lower your estrogen starting today. So if I see estrogen dominance in someone's case, that often makes me think about the thyroid possibly being sluggish. So here I go promising another video, but that is really gonna come out soon because I've already written out a draft, and that's about how you can improve thyroid function. So I'm not gonna discuss that fully in this video, but it's just really important for you to be aware of the fact that when you struggle with estrogen dominance, this could also be down to a sluggish thyroid. And a few hints of you possibly having a sluggish thyroid is that you struggle with your weight, that you are overweight, or that it's really hard for you to get the weight off, that you feel really tired, very cold frequently when other people clearly aren't, and that you have a clouded mind. Now, these symptoms could point towards something else, but they can also be clues of an underactive thyroid. If you want to start at looking how to improve your thyroid today, then I would recommend that you head on over to one of my videos on how to nurture your adrenals, because a sluggish thyroid is often a reaction to adrenals that have been struggling for a long time. So if you've had a really stressful life, and I guess most of us do, then as a result, your thyroid can kind of slam the brakes. So start taking care of your adrenals and head on over to that video. But first finish watching this one, right? Obviously. So as I said, a sluggish thyroid leads to a slower metabolism. And this is the reason that often underactive thyroid patients feel cold and they struggle with the weight because they are not actually getting rid of the fat. If your thyroid is sluggish, that also slows down the metabolism of your liver. And we need a healthy liver to get rid of toxins, first of all, but also for a healthy hormone balance. So what happens if the liver isn't functioning properly because of the thyroid being underactive or because the liver itself is being stressed? That means that estrogen builds up in the body. So estrogen that you should normally be getting rid of with a healthy metabolism, it just builds up, and that gives you all the estrogen dominance symptoms. So although a sluggish liver can be the result of a sluggish thyroid, you can imagine that your liver in itself could be struggling for several reasons. One is actually an emotional reason. If you are harboring anger and you aren't resolving that, that puts stress on your liver. I did a really cool video with Helen Suter a while back on how anger and holding on to it can actually impact your fertility. So I will link that one in as well. You see how an emotional thing that you're holding on to can have a physical impact. So a way to lower the impact on your liver is to resolve your anger. There are a couple of other things that can help your liver though. If you've been drinking a lot of alcohol in the past or you've been smoking, that has put pressure on your liver. So if you haven't cut that out already, do that right away. Smoking you want to cut out anyway if you are trying to conceive, but alcohol we want to at least cut down if we don't cut it out completely. Another thing that puts stress on your liver is any kind of toxins. So that can be drugs. If you're taking drugs over the counter a lot, reconsider if it's really necessary. If you're taking prescription drugs, make sure that you talk to your health practitioner who's prescribed them before you cut that down or cut it out. Maybe you're starting to understand what actually took me so long to shoot this video, because a lot of the causes of estrogen dominance are linked in. And here's another linked in one, and that is if you're holding on to fat. So it's really important to start exercising if you're not already, and also to look at your diet if you haven't done that yet. Because if you're holding on to fat, that also increases estrogen in your body because fat produces estrogen. However, if you are struggling with an underactive thyroid, you are struggling with your weight. So I can understand that if you have an underactive thyroid, that it makes you really disheartened to think, well, if I'm going to hold on to the fat and that's going to make me estrogen dominant, then where do I start? just start somewhere. If you are working on your thyroid, that's going to help your fat metabolism, but you really need to also work on making sure that you're moving around enough and you're not slouching on the couch with a bag of potato chips in your hands. Know that if you're exercising and watching your diet, it's also going to help your thyroid. And it doesn't take that much. You don't have to sign up to a gym. You don't have to have the perfect outfit. You don't need to get the perfect DVD. Just start with 15 minutes of movement a day. I've been looking into Flylady a lot lately, and I love one of her quotes. You can do anything for 15 minutes. Set your timer, just move. Start running up and down the stairs, or start stretching on the floor. Go for a walk. Who cares? Start somewhere. Here's another issue that can be caused by a sluggish thyroid, but can also be a symptom that you're having separately from your thyroid, and that is constipation. If you are struggling with constipation, that is also a way that you're holding on to way too much estrogen. So make sure that you keep your digestion as healthy as possible by eating healthily. Then make sure that your water intake is enough and that you have plenty of fiber in your diet. Now, these are a bit of the obvious things. I would really recommend to eat 2 little prunes a day, and not the fresh ones, but I'm talking about the dried ones. Put them in hot water for a little bit to soak up the hot water and take those at night, and that should really help most of you. If you're still struggling after that, make sure to look into homeopathic treatment, because there are plenty of remedies that can help you with that if it is not related to your thyroid, in which case you're looking at the thyroid function again and boosting that. In a previous video, I shared that it's not really about having too much estrogen in your system or too much progesterone or too much whatever hormone, but that it's always about balance. So when it comes to estrogen, we want to make sure that there is plenty of progesterone in your system as well at the right time. If you are having normal amounts of estrogen, but not enough progesterone, that can also come out as estrogen dominance. So this progesterone boosting video I will also do in the future, because it's getting way too complex otherwise, but it's also coming. Again, I've got a draft for that video already lying on my desk. A big reason for estrogen dominance I find with the patients in my clinic is that they have taken the contraceptive pill in the past. It doesn't need to just be the pill, it can also be the injection, it can also be the hormonal coil. Anything with synthetic hormones can really throw off our super delicate hormonal system, and often the reaction of our system is to become estrogen dominant. And the issue with that is not just the estrogen dominance, but years of estrogen dominance can actually lead to having a lack of estrogen in the end, meaning that you can hit menopause too early, or you can have early ovarian failure, and a lot of menopausal issues, which is way down the line, I know, for you guys, because you're looking at trying to conceive. However, it's just really important that you are caring about your estrogen dominance today, because it can lead to a lack of estrogen and menopausal issues down the line as well. So we're not just looking at resolving your estrogen dominance so you can actually conceive naturally, but also so that you can hit menopause in a healthy way. There's no reason for us to have hot flashes and feel horrible in that time. If we do, that's usually a result of years and years of neglect of hormonal issues in the first place. What I do with those patients is I detox their hormonal history with homeopathic remedies. And before I went on maternity leave, I actually made sure that I got those protocols out there so that you can start detoxing yourself. And I will make sure to also link that in the description below, because you can order those protocols today and you can get started with the detox as soon as possible. You don't have to wait to become my patient to get started with that. I've got so many patients that have already fallen pregnant just by detoxing the pill, so it's really worth to get started with that alone, as so many of us have the contraceptive pill in our history. And not just in our history, but also a lot of us are second-generation contraceptive pill users. So even your mom having used the contraceptives in the past can have an impact on your fertility today. And here is a last simple step that you can actually start with today really easily as soon as you stop this video, and that is that you stop using plastic containers for your foods and drinks. It isn't possible to eliminate plastic in your system completely, because it's really everywhere, but you can reduce it drastically by looking at what is going into your body. And it's important to do that because our bodies recognize plastic as a form of estrogen. So it isn't actually estrogen, but we recognize it as such. So a lot of estrogen dominant symptoms can just be because we have too much plastic in our body. Plastics is actually also something that we can detox homeopathically, but I would recommend to get in touch with a homeopath for that. Perhaps in the future I will put up a protocol for detoxing plastics because I've done that plenty with patients as well. If this is something that you'll be interested in, make sure to leave that in the comments below, because if I see that there's a lot of interest, it is something that I can bump up on my to-do list for you. All right, that was a lot of information, right? It was an old school Fleur jam-packed video, but I really wanted to get this out to you, and I so much hope that it's helpful. I would love to know in the comments if it was. If you would like to learn more about how you can resolve hormonal imbalance naturally, then make sure to click on the playlist on your screen right now. And if you aren't a subscriber yet, but you would like to see more fertility boosting videos, make sure that you hit that button because I bring out new videos every Thursday. And in the meantime, see you in the next video. Bye!